Welcome to another exciting episode of the Entreprenudist Podcast, the place to hear real entrepreneurs and business owners bear it all. I'm your host, Randolph Love III, and we do have another great entrepreneur, business owner on the Entreprenudist Podcast today. Before we bring them on, I want to remind you that this episode is brought to you by Shield Wolf Strongholds, a wealth growth and protection company. When it comes to employee benefits, when it comes to estate planning, when it comes to retirement planning, when it comes to life insurance, if your plan ain't Shield Wolf, your plan ain't strong. If you're a business owner that want you and your employees to retire higher than you would have prior, make sure you visit shieldwolfstrong.com. Now to our guest, Salvatore Tirabassi. Tirabassi is a seasoned CFO with over 20 years of experience in financial strategy, forecasting, analytics, and capital management as a fractional CFO. He specializes in financial modeling, data-driven decision-making, and capital raising, consistently helping companies strengthen operations and scale with confidence. He brings 15 years of growth equity and venture capital experience, giving him a deep understanding of value creation, deal structuring, and investor expectations. Salvatore has facilitated more than $400 million in equity and debt financing and led 12 successful M&A transactions. He has also served on multiple boards, guiding audits, restructurings, and strategic planning. For cash flowing businesses, he structures tax advantageous solutions, including captive insurance programs, state tax credits, and ESOPs, clearly outlining how each option supports long-term profitability and cash flow. In addition to his CFO and investment work, Salvatore advises and coaches executives on strategic planning, analytical decision-making, and leadership. He holds an MBA from the Wharton School, where he graduated as Palmer Scholar, and MSc in telecommunications and network engineering from the University of Pennsylvania, and an AB from Howard University.
Harvard.
Welcome to the entrepreneur. Hey, I was just gonna wait. I was messing with you to see if you corrected me. Great, I got them already, folks. Hey,
Howard.
if you're gonna, if he didn't correct me, I definitely would have corrected myself. But usually when you attend Harvard, you want to make sure people know. Thank you for coming to the Entreprenudist Podcast, Sal.
It's Harvard's a good union card if you can get it.
Oh yeah, man. I imagine anybody that attended Harvard that doesn't say it, you're losing cachet. I think it's one of those things to where you need to use that name brand for what it's worth.
Yeah, it helps. But I will tell you that in my business dealings, having a really good educational background has a certain amount of value. But at the end of the day, when you're doing like blocking and tackling day to day, working with people, it's a lot of common sense and communication skills. And, you don't need to go to Harvard to be able to do that. So.
Oh yeah. It's a lot of things people don't need, but I'm sure they glad they got it. Is there nothing that you know now that you wish you knew when you first started?
Yeah, I think I probably would have learned earlier on because I started out in venture capital and growth equity. And it was at a time where organizational structure and like people and culture, this was like late 90s, early 2000. It wasn't really as much of a thing at that time. And as an investor, when you're involved in growing businesses, you're sort of sitting on the outside on the board, and you don't really, you get a view of the people, but not so much at that time, like valuing the culture and understanding how the culture in the organization was not something that necessarily we paid as much attention to back then, or at least it wasn't something that like I was being trained to focus on. And I think I would have benefited from being coached on that more kind of earlier in my career. It would have served me better along the way. I mean, I like to think of myself as like an introspective person, and I try to like read between the lines of like how things are working, like from a interpersonal standpoint. But one of the problems, like when you're operating at the investor level, you can also run into like the concept of being hard-headed about the numbers and not exactly like how the whole thing fits together.
Mm-hmm.
That I equate to like culture and like how an organization works cooperatively together to move in one direction to achieve the objective.
Oh yeah, it sounds like it's more than just the hard numbers.
It's much more than the hard numbers. Yeah, much more. And I definitely use all that know-how that came kind of slowly at the beginning of my career and much rapidly later on. I use that all the time when I'm working with clients now, and I try to, for my whole team in my firm, these are issues that I try to discuss with them about how to navigate the inner workings of the organization, not the politics, because we're not there to be political, but really more just demonstrating appreciation, understanding that at our level we may be operating with a finance team or an operating team that hasn't dealt with capabilities, and so we need to incorporate a little bit of training and kind of bringing people along so that they can kind of like keep up with us, and actually they learn a lot and it benefits them in their careers. So we want to be like much more constructive in kind of how we do things.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of being constructive, not just metaphorically speaking, but literally when it comes to building teams and building buildings and building cultures, how do you raise capital around these things?
So it depends on the type of business. There's with entrepreneurs, oftentimes they may not be ready to bring in an equity partner, and that's a whole other dynamic of expectation setting and that kind of stuff. So a lot of times with the family and founder-owned businesses that we work, they're mainly looking for debt financing, working capital facilities. Sometimes it's like a revolving line of credit. A lot of times it's a working capital facility that leverages their receivables and gives them some additional capital in the business so that they could turn the gears faster on sales. When you get into the equity side of the equation, it's a much longer process. There's a lot more information that gets presented to the investors. Their due diligence cycles are a lot longer. And so those would be more particular circumstances where we get involved in that. But in my previous career, there was a lot of equity financings that I was involved in. But in this latest career direction in CFO services, it's usually a lot of debt financing. And just coincidentally, like right now, I've got one company that we work with where we're actually exploring a crowdfunding. And that'll be an interesting thing to examine and figure out whether it works or not.
Which is better, raising debt or equity? Is one worse than the other or better than the other?
I think it depends on what your objectives are. I think, I have this term that people use in finance, which is called permanent capital. And, permanent capital really means capital that's going to help you until you sell the business. And sometimes, you know, I'm using that word now because if there are entrepreneurs and business owners that are thinking about that, raising equity, you know, the term permanent capital is a useful way to phrase it, because it's capital that, you know, as a business owner, when you think about your cash flow, money in, money out every month, if you knew that if you had another $5 million or $1 million that you could put into the business that was just going to stay there, what are the things that it would stabilize and then give you the opportunity to invest in? And so when you're thinking about equity capital, think about it as permanent capital. It's going to be with you for the long haul. And you'll know that you need it when the term permanent capital, you know, kind of makes sense to you. Like when you hear those words, it'll sort of make sense to you. So it's not that one is necessarily better than the other. It's just, it's situational. On the debt side, you know, you obviously don't have to give up ownership. You know, the reporting requirements are generally the same. You know, anybody who puts money into your business wants to know how it's performing. So, and I would say the amount of work that needs to go into raising the debt is usually on average less than what you need to put in to raise equity. In terms of like the amount of legal fees that you incur, the debt facilities are terms, so that it's easier to navigate what the deal is going to be. But that shouldn't be the reason that you choose debt over equity. It's just a feature of it. Choosing debt over equity is like, hey, I need permanent capital. I need money that's going to stick with me so I can do these things. And then the debt is like, I can bring the money in and cycle the business so that I can pay that off and own the full business with the benefit of paying off the debt in the future. So you need to kind of like think through the pluses and minuses of what you really need for your business. There really is kind of like a right answer for each one. It just depends on the company.
Oh yeah, it depends. Regardless of whatever route somebody takes, whether it's equity, whether it's raising debt, seems like equity is more of a long-term thing, maybe even strategic partnerships, whereas debt is, all right, we still can weather the day-to-day operations and get into the right rooms ourselves for now.
Right. This is true also.
Okay.
Relationship part of the equity piece too, in terms of like what contacts do they have, how can they help you grow their business, that is also something that you need to like really think about and really understand whether that's a true value you're going to get out of the relationship, because it would be really unfortunate if you sold a piece of your business and the strategic relationships didn't come along with it when that was part of the reason why you deal. That would be pretty disappointing.
Yeah. What is a pitch deck, and does it even still matter?
Yeah, I think a pitch deck does matter. It can take a lot of different forms, but you know, the key components of the pitch deck from my perspective, especially with the types of clients that I'm dealing with, you want to have like a really clear story of what your objectives are and why it matters. And then how does that produce a return on investment for the investor? If you can accomplish those things, the content that goes into the pitch deck can take the form of, you know, a little bit of storytelling, some analysis on your market size, the historical timeline of your business and the trajectory of growth, as well as like some financial numbers. And you can keep it pretty tight and concise to, you know, 10 to 15 pages for like an initial conversation. And then, you know, when it comes to doing the due diligence, you may want to expand that into a much more comprehensive, you know, 30, it could be 100 pages of really, really detailed information that is the kind of the main playbook that the investors will work off of in order to do their due diligence. But the pitch deck is like the first step, and then you can build off of that.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people, if they have anything, they have an amazing, immaculate pitch deck. It's especially in the age of AI. I know some people say the more beautiful the pitch deck, the worse the deal sometimes, right? I don't know if that's an experience that you've come across. How are business owners utilizing artificial intelligence, AI, when it comes to their positions as small and emerging businesses?
I would say it's a combination. The ones that I see it doing successfully, they use a combination of AI and automation technologies such as Zapier, Make.com, and N8N. That's N8N. Those are integration platforms that allow you to connect different systems. And then one of the systems that you can connect into that is AI. And then the AI runs a procedure as part of the workflow that you're building in the automation system that allows it to do something, smart that normally you might have like a person do, or it might be something that you've never really done before because if you had people doing it, it just would be impossibly expensive, and it would have like a lot of errors in it, When you set up these systems with the automation and you set them on a schedule and they run like clockwork, or they're triggered by an event, all of a sudden everything happens, and at the other end of it, you get your result that you end up using in your business. The companies that I work with that are successful with AI are generally building those types of systems, and a lot of them DIY it. They've got some IT people on staff who have a lot of curiosity and are smart and kind of figure things out, and then they build out the infrastructure and then start using it. So
is that affecting customer acquisition costs in any way, shape, or form, or no?
Yeah, in a way, like I could give you an example of that. Like one of our clients uses a lot of Zapier and a little bit of AI in their integrated workflows between their CRM and their call center system. And then they've got like another system which also gathers information on customer interactions. And they basically can funnel activities that are happening from the CRM in terms of lead generation into Slack channels for immediate action. And then also take phone interactions and activate them based on what's happening in the CRM. And all the glue that does all of that is Zapier. Is how they do it. And yeah, sure. Does it improve customer acquisition costs? Absolutely. If they didn't have these integrations built, there would be some steps that they would be able to automate in some other way, but some things they'd have to have like a person maintaining it, or they just would not do it because it would be impossible to do. So efficiency in your lead funnel, it's going to have an immediate impact on customer acquisition costs.
Yeah, and a lot of people, regardless of how you get them, regardless of how much it costs you to get them, regardless of if you are fulfilling your promises to your customers or not, it all boils down to Uncle Sam. Taxes.
Yeah, I'll give.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll give you another example. This is really. So I'm not going to mention the vendor. If anybody wants to talk to the vendor, just reach out to me directly. But I have a technology vendor that I work with that actually is working in a couple of my clients now. They actually have an AI agent that will make appointment setting phone calls for you. So you can lead generation funnel like that says, let's say you're contacting people by email, or you're sending them direct mail, or you're connecting with them on LinkedIn. Their system will manage that funnel with you using AI, and actually get the conversation to the point where the AI agent will pick up the phone, not literally, call the person, and if they get in touch with them, actually talk to them over the phone and set up the appointment for you.
Wow. Talk about saving on customer acquisition.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. It's pretty impressive. The first time I came across them, I was introduced to them by the CEO of a cybersecurity business, and he told me that he had replaced his whole SDR function, which are the sales development representatives who are setting up the meetings. He replaced that whole function. I think he had like 3 people working in it with just this AI system. And it works 24/7.
Oh yeah, no sleep, right? No food, no drink, and what's stopping a lot of business owners from sleeping, eating, and drinking is their tax bill at the end of the day. And I'm pretty sure, with you being a financial strategist, they're going to ask you for a plan. What's the best tax plan for a business owner?
There's a lot of nuances to it. I would say the very basic one that you can think about if you're an entrepreneur and you own a small business is the trade-off between filing as a partnership, as an LLC, and filing your taxes. Now, you could still be an LLC, but you file your taxes as an S corp. The savings that you get on that is basically above a certain once you pay yourself a salary in the S corp, you no longer have to pay FICA and Medicare taxes on any of the profits that you pull out of the business. So you can save yourself, up to a certain amount of income. On the Medicare piece, it goes all the way to any infinite number of dollars, because Medicare is 2.9% of every dollar that you make. But if you do it as an S corp, you eliminate that tail of taxes. If you are a LLC taxed as a partnership, you will pay all your FICA taxes on every dollar that you pull out up to a certain amount, and then after that, you'll continue to pay Medicare. Now, the trade-off is if you're an entrepreneur, maybe working with a family member, the S corp strategy might be a better one for you, especially if you start making more and more income. Like once you're pulling, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $1 million, $2 million out of the business, the S corp will definitely make more sense for you. That would be like one very basic tax strategy. There's like 3 or 4 others that I could talk to you about, depending on like what stage the business is at and how much money it's making.
Yeah, I know. Definitely, it's important to understand that the government has deemed that making money doesn't have to be taken care of by Social Security and Medicare. And what you're talking about is having an LLC treated as an S corp allows you to say, hey, this is my salary, so you should charge me this self-employment tax, income tax on that. But this other money, because I was an original investor in my company, this is my return on investment. This is my money making money. So you should treat that as such. That's definitely a great strategy, and more people should know about it and should, reach out to you. Who is, and I know we got a hard stop. Who is the ideal person for us to introduce you to? What's their description?
Yeah, so the best clients for us are family and founder-owned businesses that are, I would say, $3 to $100 million of revenue, and you're basically want to have a strategic advisor operating in your business who is also keeping all of your books and records like perfectly clean, doing your forecasting, making sure that you're on point for all your tax filings, but is, week to week providing you with strategic advice on like key decisions that you need to make in the business. And those could be really hard decisions, like getting out of a certain product line that you've invested in. It could be staffing issues. It could be deciding to change payroll companies. It could be figuring out what's the strategic plan for managing cash flow every week. It's all those things. And, it could be lonely at the top for a CEO or for a founder. And usually they've got a bookkeeper and some accounting capability in the organization, but not like a high level CFO person who can really be their strategic advisor with all of the numbers behind them. Those are the types of businesses that we like to work in. And we come in as their permanent part-time solution for that. They don't need to go out and hire people full-time. We can deliver it all very efficiently on a fixed contract basis.
Oh yeah, it sounds like you provide a very valuable service to business owner. Please, once again, let everybody know your name, what you do, and how they can get in touch.
Sure. Sal Tirabassi. I'm the founder and managing director of CFO Pro+Analytics. We are at CFOProAnalytics.com. I've got a terrific team of people that work for the firm who are super experienced CFO and finance people, and they're ready to help you grow your business and make great decisions and help you.
I interrupted your tagline. They help you make this great decisions, and what else, Sal?
And help you sleep at night.
Exactly. That's one of the favorite. As soon as you get on a consulting call and that person asks you what keeps you up at night, get prepared to pull out your checkbook, because that person knows how to hit those pain points. And a lot of times you need someone to not only hit the pain points, but also show you how to address them. And it seems like Sal, you and your team might have something to do with making sure people do it the right way. This has been another episode of the Entrepreneudist Podcast, the place to hear real entrepreneurs and business owners bear it all. I am your host, Randolph Love III. And until next time, don't play with it, stay with it until you make pay with it. The Entrepreneudist Podcast, signing off.